Ladies and gentlemen, and digital nomad enthusiasts, welcome to a journey of exploration and discovery. Today, we embark on a virtual expedition into the heart of innovation as we unravel the world and untold story of Sri Lanka's rise in the global digital nomad landscape. I am Sivamari Premnath, a co-founder of NomadBuddy, and I'm thrilled to be your host today where I will guide you through this fascinating discussion that delves into the confluence of culture, technology, and opportunity. Nomad Buddy is excited to be a part of the Global Entrepreneurship Week 2023, and we are aiming to explore the evolving role of Sri Lanka in this global digital nomad landscape. Global Entrepreneurship Week 2023 is a week long international celebration and collaboration dedicated to promoting entrepreneurship and innovation across the globe. Taking place annually, GEW brings together millions of people, organizations, and events to inspire, connect, and support individuals in their entrepreneurial journeys. So, before we look at what we have actually planned today, let us take a short video about GW 2023. In a world where these boundaries between work and wanderlust are becoming increasingly blurred, we find ourselves standing at the crossroads of tradition and transformation. Sri Lanka, with its rich tapestry of history and its embrace to the digital era, beckons us to explore the uncharted territories of remote work against the backdrop of its lush landscapes and vibrant culture. Before we dive into our panel discussion today, let's meet our esteemed panelist. Meet Sachindra, the Associate Chief Digital Economy Officer at the Information and Communication Technology Agency of Sri Lanka, an ecosystem builder, industry development expert, and innovation face. At the helm of a team of industry superstars, Sachindra is steering Sri Lanka towards its goal of becoming a startup nation. As a key contributor to national level committees, Sachindra actively shapes an environment conducive to innovation, entrepreneurship, and exports. Hi, Sachindra.
Hi, Mauri. Glad to be here.
Next up, we have Selena, a dynamic product and UI UX designer with a passion for unraveling intricate problems and crafting innovative, empowering design solutions. Dedicated to building value driven products, Selena's goal is to create positive impacts and meaningful user experiences. Beyond her design prowess, Selena is an intrepid traveler, having embraced a location independent lifestyle for the past 3 years, working remotely from diverse and inspiring destinations worldwide while immersing herself in the world of literature, enjoying a cup of tea and jazzy hip hop. Hi, Selena. Welcome to today.
Hi everyone. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Next up, and last but not the least, we have Mr. Ismail, a visionary entrepreneur and the co founder of Co-Live Me, a trailblazing platform in the realm of co living. Beyond his entrepreneurial endeavors, Mr. Ingelmo is also the creative force behind DXMID Design, demonstrating his multifaceted expertise in shaping innovative living and working spaces. His wealth of experience, not only as a co founder, but also as a design maven, uniquely positions him to offer profound perspectives on the intersection of entrepreneurship and design in the context of promoting Sri Lanka in the global digital nomad narrative. Hello, Ismail.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the introduction.
Okay. Today, our panel of visionaries will navigate through the realms of innovation, discussing these unique attractions that make Sri Lanka a magnetic force for digital nomads, the technological leaps that pave the way for seamless remote work, and the government's role in crafting an ecosystem that fosters this new era of nomadism. So, fasten your seatbelts as we embark on an expedition through cyberspace and serenity, where the ancient meets the modern, and where Sri Lankan's allure as a digital nomad haven unfolds before our very eyes. So, let us begin our panel discussion right now. So, my first question is for Selena. What is a digital nomad lifestyle and how did you become a digital nomad? Can you tell us about your story?
Sure. So, actually, I started off just being a really curious person and I wanted to travel the world. So, I started to just travel basically. I was backpacking in different parts of the world and I loved it. And basically, I wanted to make this my lifestyle. But back then, I started in 2016. It wasn't like I didn't really meet any digital nomads. It wasn't really a big thing. So I just traveled and then I got introduced to a girl who was kind of doing something like this. But she was also a designer and working online, and she joined this program that was promoting this kind of lifestyle where you get to work online and travel to different countries. So when she told me about this, I was like really interested. The program was mostly uh, marketed to Americans, so it was called Remote Year, and I wanted to join that initially. But then I did some research and I read like two books that kind of really inspired me to become location independent and financially independent. So the two books I read were Rich Dad, Poor Dad and The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And he's one of like the OG digital nomads who kind of promoted this idea of location independence. So being able to work wherever you want to and travel and work online. So he was kind of like the first person that really broke it down for me. So after reading these books and meeting this girl, I just like did a lot of research and prepared myself to go remote. And actually during COVID, my partner also became remote, so we were able to travel together. And we never turned back. Like we kept going for the past like 3.5, almost 4 years now. And we've been to so many places and it opened our perspectives, and it's like pretty much a life-changing experience. And I would definitely like encourage everyone to do this if they can work remotely. And so yeah, that was my journey. And right now I'm in Indonesia and Bali. I've been in Asia for 10 months now. Unfortunately, I haven't been to Sri Lanka yet, but that's definitely high on the bucket list because I've met a lot of people who have been to Sri Lanka and had a great experience. So I definitely want to visit Sri Lanka. Yeah.
Wow, I think that was a very inspiring story itself because as a digital nomad, it's not going to be a cup of tea for everyone. But like you said, while doing the research and getting to know the whole scape, I think you would be inspired to take that initial step yourself. I'm really happy that you are in Asia. So hopefully within the next few months, maybe you could just pop into Sri Lanka and, have a good time here as
Yeah,
well.
definitely. I definitely want to go to Sri Lanka. After watching the introduction video, I was like, I have to go.
Yeah, I think Sri Lanka is a really nice, amazing place. So I hope you will come here and we will get to meet each other physically and have a good time as well. So
Yes.
now our next question will be redirecting to Ismail. What motivated you to explore and build co-living spaces in Bali and Sri Lanka?
Okay. I mean, it's a long story, but I will try to make it short.
Yes.
So my background also is designer, and then I was designing a co-working spaces like for WeWork in China, and also I was designing hotels. And I always wanted to mix both of them. There were like a lot of different proposals, like in China and so on. That is what I was, but like nothing fits as it was in my idea. So it's like before that I've been traveling through Asia many years, and Sri Lanka was kind of like my favorite place, and also it has like a lot of potential. So I decided kind of quit everything and try it out in Sri Lanka. Yeah, then it took a bit of time, and then some friends told me to let's open in Bali first. So by the time we were doing Sri Lanka, we opened in Bali first, and then we did it. And yeah, I mean, like more and more people is working nowadays with their computer. So it's an it's like a it's not like a yeah, it's a big change in like in the way people is working. So yeah, we want to take advantage of that and also bring these people, like to the island. Like not all the great startups need to start in Silicon Valley. They can start in Sri Lanka, Bali, or anywhere else in the world.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
that's all.
think
Thank you.
what's very interesting about the digital nomad lifestyle, which you mentioned, where you can work remotely anywhere and you don't necessarily have to start up in Silicon Valley. You can start up anywhere around the world. And you creating Co-Live Me, I think it is one of the major infrastructure that is going to help digital nomads in working and experiencing all the culture and travel in Sri Lanka. So I hope that digital nomads will embrace this lifestyle and not just just travel and experience their lifestyle, but also use this co-living and co-working spaces in Sri Lanka, because it is a major infrastructure that will assist them as well. So I hope that co-live me will become even more famous, and that digital nomads will actually take that step in trying it out. So, next up, Sachindra. According to a study by the Flamingo app, the digital nomad rich list, Sri Lanka has been considered as the most affordable destination for remote workers. And this is in regards to when you're considering the cost of living in relation to UK and USA. So, can you provide an overview of the current digital infrastructure in Sri Lanka that actually supports this lifestyle and digital nomads?
Thanks for the question, Mauri. Um, so, beyond the rich list, we also saw, and that's where Sri Lanka also got hyped up when we saw that Club Med ranked us number two, and then later came Kayak ranked us also in the top list. And that's when digital nomadism came into the minds of people, of course, the people of policymakers and those decision makers as well. So infrastructure wise, we should remember that Sri Lanka is also a technology offshoring destination. And we have been a technology offshoring destination for the past 20-25 years. We have companies which have set up operations not only in Colombo, but outside Colombo as well. And we've seen that the telecommunication infrastructure in Sri Lanka, we were the first to introduce 3G in South Asia, 4G in South Asia. And we have been, uh, would have been on that ahead of the curve when it comes to South Asia when rolling out technology infrastructure. 5G, we've seen a bit of a slow progress because of various reasons, but in terms of the 4G rollout, we were the first. And both network providers claim 4G coverage across the country. Plus, we also have uh, our national carrier, which is SLTE, which also has its fiber backbone around the country. And that's also because of the fact that the government rolled out a project which is called the Lanka Government Network, which is to connect government agencies. And that backbone itself was provided by by our national carrier, and therefore we had a fiber backbone around the country. So we already have that, and therefore it makes it easier for anyone to connect to the fiber network. When if you're whether you're co-live who's in Ahangama, or whether you're someone else in Batticaloa, or you're in Jaffna, because that fiber backbone is going around the country uh, from a national carrier, it's easy to extend. So therefore, all these different options are there. Especially if it's fiber, we've seen the different organizations or companies who set up spaces for digital nomads, also for tourists, because Sri Lanka being a tourist destination, requiring fiber connectivity, even if you're coming for a holiday, not even long stay, even if you're coming for a holiday, it's something that you expect for those 2 to 3 days. I think an average tourist in Sri Lanka stays for about 9.2 or 9.3. That was what tourism says. So that supports that. Plus, I'll also bring in another statistic to show that the telecommunication infrastructure has supported, which is the number of startups that are coming out of Sri Lanka. And we have 850 plus startups, where 1/3 of them is outside the Western province. So I didn't go into numbers to say this is the Mbps average, or this is the telecommunication QoS or quality of service. But from evidence of companies coming out from the different provinces, different districts, we could say that for the technology infrastructure is now established, and if there are gaps, we have a measurement called the digital readiness index, which is now at district level, district digital readiness index, which looks at the conducive environment in each district for digital entrepreneurs, for freelancers. And we see the freelancer population, which is about 50,000 in Sri Lanka, dispersed around the country. Actually, more freelancers are there outside of Western province than Western province. So we see, because of the demand creation, the infrastructure also moving out, and increasing their quality of service because of the interventions and the feedback which is given to the telecommunication providers as well. So I will leave it at that for now.
Yes. I think all the infrastructure initiations, and we have already, like you said, we have been the frontiers of establishing 3G and 4G connections in terms of the South Asian. But in regards to that, even in relation to internet and connectivity and ecosystems and the startup foundation that we are moving towards, with which already has been established, is a major factor in deciding if digital nomads are able to adapt to this lifestyle easily in Sri Lanka. And I think that is a major limitation in terms of that digital nomads do think there is a bit of a limitation in regards to these infrastructure in Sri Lanka. But this is the point where I think everyone gets to know how developed and how we are still developing in adapting new technology, in adapting new infrastructure. And in relation to that, I think digital nomads will be able to enjoy, like you said, just for the first few days, enjoy and experience the culture while also helping back and taking part in the job opportunities that are being created here. And I think that is a major contribution that will be helping, and making Sri Lanka better as a nation itself. So thank you, Sachindra, for that. So next up, we will be looking more into the infrastructure. So when it does come to this infrastructure, the first thing digital nomads look for is the internet speed. So Ismail, when we are working remotely from Veligama, we gathered that even from other digital nomads that the internet speed was somewhat low in the majority of these places compared. There were some places that did have fiber connections, but there were some places that did lack in the speed itself. So respective to this and other areas that we have already discussed, what gap do you see in Sri Lanka when it comes to the digital nomad infrastructure, and how do you think we can actually overcome these challenges in Sri Lanka, Ismail?
Okay, so yeah, it's a good question, but let me put something into context before, so then we understand better. We are talking about digital nomads, and we need to define what is a digital nomad. No, so we are talking, and then digital nomad is people that work online. but not everybody that work online is the same. It's not the same like an English teacher than somebody that can earn maybe $1,000 a month than somebody that works in IT security or blockchain that can earn $10,000 a month. It's not the same level of knowledge. So different people have different requirements. When we make little bit education, we try to separate, like, let's say 3 kind of different digital nomads, 3 types, and then I will say like what kind of requirements they're missing or they have. So if it's somebody like English teaching, marketing, marketing, there's many types, but let's say a bit lower paid jobs, sometimes, most of the time, what they need is more meeting rooms in the spaces. Like we don't have that many, because usually those jobs, they are quite loud and then you cannot work properly. But then what they require is that. So usually they cannot find that. Either they find a hotel or like anywhere else with good internet where they can do their talks and so on. Another kind of digital nomads is people that work online, that they are more like remote workers. So they are not people that they are traveling all around, like I guess Selena does. It's not around, but they stay a few months in this place, few months in another place, have all this experience. Maybe they have family and then they want to set up in some place. So sometimes those digital nomads, they just require like more like a proper, like a big villa with big infrastructure. They want a big villa, everything ready and so on. So Sri Lanka has that. And sometimes they might have like little gaps, but I think there might be sometimes, I think that is covered. The third type is the digital nomads, that they are more like into like the entrepreneurs, the startups, people working in IT. These people, sometimes they don't want a big villa. They just want a good community, and a good creative community. So I think that Colombo has a lot of it. Like as Sachindra said, there is so many startups, then there is like a lot of co-workings in Colombo, nice environment for startups. Like the IT services, they are affordable compared to the rest of the world. So it's very attractive for anybody that comes and want that. But so what it needs more is more like places to meet, like because the digital nomads, when they come from wherever they come, they not only bring a bit of cash money that they pay into the co-living, their food, the party, the surfing, or this, they also bring a lot of knowledge. So Sri Lanka, more than that little cash, from the money that they can take that knowledge, and then like synergies that they can be created, and that is much more valuable than a few $1,000s or few $100s. So I think the main thing is like all this community, it needs to be developed. Like at Colib, we try our best. Sometimes we do some weeks. We did it with even ICTA. We do Creative Week, Impact Week. So we try to mix those 2 parts. But also, if other actors they are doing that, then it will be good. Like, and that is not only focused on Colombo, because most of the tourists, they don't come to Sri Lanka to stay in Colombo. They can stay a few days, but then they want to see the beautiful mountains, the beautiful beaches. There is such a great nature. So if this is exported all around the island in the different tourism destinations, then it will be better environment for digital nomads.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Ismail, in terms of where digital nomads, like you said, because they're coming from different parts of the world, they're not just going to help us in terms of the economy itself, but they are going to help us in transferring knowledge and, just learning from different skills, different people all around. And I think the main aspect that you did point out was that we do have this ecosystem that is already being built in Sri Lanka outside the Western province, but I think more initiatives and more community where we feel like that we are one needs to be more incorporated at each and every step in terms of building Sri Lanka as a digital nomad landscape. And I think that's something that we can look into and focus on in improving Sri Lanka as a better nation. So, Selena, Having traveled to multiple countries as a digital nomad, which you did mention before, and for your last 3 years, what factors did typically influence the choice of your destination, and what additional supportive services or any facilities that you thought were crucial for ensuring your well being and your productivity?
Yes, so I actually wrote an article on Medium about the most important factors to consider before going to a certain place. And I would say the most important thing for me during my experience over the past 3.5 years is accommodation and also factoring the cost of living in certain places. So this is pretty important because I want to be in a place where there are suitable accommodation available for people who want to stay long term, so for a month or a few months. And I prefer to rent fully equipped apartments with bedroom, living room, kitchen, so that I'm actually having like a living experience, because I do prefer to stay in a place for at least a month to maybe 3 months or so, to immerse in the place that I'm staying in. So that's really important to me, and also a place with good internet. And a lot of places I found, it's kind of difficult to find these kind of fully equipped places, and you would have to opt for just hotel rooms. And they're just basically a room, so it's not really comfortable to be living in a hotel room for like months and months. So that needs to be considered. And a lot of places are not really well designed for long stays. So, for example, I am in Ubud, Bali right now, and I found it like really difficult to find a good, suitable place to live in, because most of them are either hotels or villas that are built up really quickly and not really thoughtful of, like, if someone was to live here long term, like, what to include in these living spaces. So that's really important for me. And also, cost of living is important for, I think, most people, to factor in like how much the rent would cost and all these other things like food, expenses, activities, etc., etc. And yeah, I usually, I mean, like, cost of living isn't really, like an important thing for everyone. Like, there's some people who can afford to spend a lot, but for me, I think I rather go to places that I can afford a higher quality of living and I'll break the bank. So, which is like the more smart way to do it for me. And I prefer, for example, to live in a really, really nice condo in Bangkok over London, because I know, like, for the same price that I pay for a really nice condo in Bangkok, I probably can only afford like a room in a shared house in London, for example. So that's not really a comfortable thing for me. And another really important factor, as you guys mentioned, is infrastructure. So this is really important, and I realized this a few years down the line, because all the places I wanted to initially go to didn't really have great infrastructure, even though I wanted to experience these places, but they were not suitable for living. And so I do tend to do more research on the infrastructure of the town or the place that I'm going to be staying in. And if they have, like proper roads, transportation, buildings that are well equipped, good internet, and like suitable workplaces in case I want to rent out a co-working office. So that's really important, in case internet goes off at my rental apartment. And yeah, like, my experience in Bali has been a little challenging because the infrastructure is not well developed here, especially in Ubud, but in Kuta is a little different, where like the roads are just broken and there isn't really like ways to get around except to be stuck in traffic if you rent a car, or you can, get a motorbike. But if you have like, children, or if you're not willing to ride on a motorbike, it's not really great for someone who doesn't want that. So that's really important to consider. And also, like, I prefer to stay in places with good co-working offices. So right now I'm staying at Outpost in Bali, in Ubud. And yeah, last year Glenn, the manager of Outpost, was a guest speaker at this panel, so he's the one that invited me. And so I'm really enjoying the co-working office here, and the internet has been really reliable, so I'm grateful for that. And I think it like really made my experience a little bit better in Ubud because of this, because I have like access to a good working space and internet. And two more factors I would say is really important is safety and security. So that's, I think everyone wants to feel safe in the places they go to. I don't want to be afraid to, go out and always have to look over my shoulders and be in a place where I think I might get robbed or something bad will happen. So I do prefer to go to places that are safe, generally safe for people, and that don't have high crime rates. And as a woman, like it's different for women who travel. And I am here with my partner, who is a man, but I do like to do things on my own. So I do look for places that do have a better attitude towards women, and there are safety measures in place so like accidents don't happen. And also I do look out for like places with good medical services in case something happens. You never know. Or if you want to get medical things done, that's pretty important. So yeah, safety and security. And last but not least, I would say the most important for me specifically is community, because that kind of either makes or break the experience. I've been in places where there were no communities, so it felt like a little isolated, and there wasn't like co-working spaces or co-living spaces, so it's hard for me to connect with other people. So being part of Outpost in Ubud has been really beneficial. And yeah, like I prefer to go to places that have like either a community of digital nomads, expats, or has a local culture where people are accepting of foreigners that come in and want to engage and interact with foreigners like me. And so, yeah, like the people I meet are really important. And a lot of the community events that I attend are mostly hosted by like co-working spaces, which are really great for digital nomads to meet each other. And also, I also try to go out to local events to meet locals. So yeah, these are like top four most important things for me.
Yeah, I think all the factors that you did mention, Selena, are going to decide, like you said, it's going to decide or break you as a digital nomad,
Yeah.
and it's going to help you if you're going to continue or not. And I think the major important aspect that I did feel like it's like a crucial factor for most of the digital nomads that we have talked with is that community aspect that you did mention. And this is
Yes.
not just in regards to just meeting people, but like Ismail mentioned before, where you're able to transfer knowledge, get to know their experiences, and in relation to just the factor that that human connection, other than the people you just know. And I think that's like a huge major factor, and it has a huge impact on deciding if you as a digital nomad is growing as a person too. So thank you for pointing that out, Selena. And I think in regards to Sri Lanka, based on the community build up and that we just started embracing digital nomad the lifestyle, I think Sachindra and his team has bought in this whole community and startup eco hub, where you are going to assist in entrepreneurs taking their initial step, taking action. And this is not just where digital nomads are not just going to take part as a job opportunity, but just help each other in building a whole community of like-minded people coming up with innovations. And I think Sachindra, in relation of that, ICTA has enabled the startup hub. And you did mention before that we do have 800 odd startups, and it's not just within this western province. So in fostering this startup hub initiative, how do you envision incorporating these digital nomads into your community or into our community as a startup nation? And what strategies or programs do you have in place that actually encourages them to not only benefit from the hub, but also actively contribute as a community member itself?
Okay, I can answer that in different angles. I would also want to touch some of the things, maybe to give encouragement to Selena also, and also some points what Ismail saying. I'll try to connect. So digital nomads right now, while we as Sri Lankans had a at one point in 2021 we were going to put out a visa. That hype started coming out, even though right now we don't have a digital nomad visa yet, which we have published at the moment, but we have a 6 months tourist visa, which I know a lot of digital nomads would be using. So within that infrastructure, within that discussion, within that dialogue, we've seen that the new digital economy strategy, which has been formulated for the country under the theme of Digicon, you would see that publicly this information is available, that digital nomads and different types, new types of visa categories is part of it. And digital nomads is specifically mentioned. And this is the discussion which is going on. And from what Ismail was saying, 100% agreed. It's not about the visa fee. It's about the digital nomad being instilled in the community and then able to work with the community to bring out innovation, spin off new companies, transfer knowledge, and that's the way that this has been looked at as well. So tourism has also taken it up as a tourism strategy, while from a digital economy standpoint, this is looked at in terms of the aspects of transferable knowledge and then how you enrich the ecosystems. So to do that, as you mentioned, as you asked, the ecosystems have to be built and have to be able to be strengthened, and therefore even uh, uh, I would say connected strategy of telecommunication, safe digital safety, digital transactions, industry, sectoral digitalization, all of it is in brought together, which means if you're rolling out a digital nomad strategy, it will also mean that we would, as an example, provide a 20 Mbps downlink for every citizen of the country through expanded bandwidth. So that could be something which will be part of the strategy. And then in terms of transactions, can we will make there's a discussion to make what you have in India, UPI available in Sri Lanka, so that'll for all Indian based tourists, especially looking at tourism, they'll be able to use their UPI interface and do transactions without really getting into cash. So different types of modalities where there could be cashless transactions. So these are things which will interrelate to further extend what we have as communities. If you take Sri Lanka in terms of startup hubs, we have a startup hub in 8 provinces, apart from North Central, which we haven't yet established. And these 8 provinces have communities which um, were able to engage with a specific digital nomad program that we ran earlier called the Digital Nomad Ambassador Program, where a particular digital nomad from Germany went around the country and were able to engage. So with that experience, I know that these communities which are there are looking forward to have this engagement. So with places like Colib, which we did a particular program 2 months back, where we will also be able to engage the community in the south, working with Ismail and the team to enrich and activate the ecosystem. This is what GEW does globally, activating ecosystems. So our approach is to also activate the ecosystem in the particular provinces and invite the digital nomads there. The only issue that we have is we need NomadBuddy to support us in collecting the digital nomads, and especially what Selena also said, a way of networking with digital nomads and for digital nomads to know who are the other digital nomads around the vicinity, and then be able to connect them, and then the community would grow. So this is the holistic approach that we are taking as a digital economy, where digital nomads is a very specific and important strategy which will be supported by all these other facets. And this should be something which will also have an element of a nomad visa, which is just one element. But all these other elements falling into place.
Yeah, I think that is where Sri Lanka is going to play a huge role because, like you mentioned, it is not just the IT infrastructure or the internet connectivity or anything like that, but just other factors that are going to be incorporated together and as an integrated mix, like, for an example, like you said, transactions, UPI, and your security features, and even in relation to the ecosystem where you are able to connect with each other and get to know that these digital nomads are there in this place at this time, so that you are able to just connect and just embrace the culture here and also learn new knowledge and learn new things. And in relation to that, Sachindra, like you mentioned, I think ICTA has been and I think is still taking a lot of initiatives around the nation, like you have mentioned, and it is enabling the startup hub. And it is not just one man or one team, like you mentioned. It is a whole community and other external factors that are going to play together. So keeping that in mind, in April 2023, we did notice that Sri Lanka has recorded 105,500 international tourist arrivals, which is a significant increase in terms of the tourist arrivals to Sri Lanka. And Selena, based on this DN visa, and that we are actually trying to expect to see a further increase in tourist arrivals and digital nomads to Sri Lanka. So, as a digital nomad yourself, what benefits did you expect or will you expect from a DN visa prior to visiting a country, Selena?
I actually done a lot of research on DN visas because I was really interested in getting some, but I wasn't aware that Sri Lanka is planning to launch this, which is great. I think for me, I would the thing that would attract me to get a DN visa would be to uh, go to a country where I can probably receive more favorable tax regimes. This is one of the biggest factors for people who work remotely or people who are business owners or entrepreneurs. A lot of people opt to go to places where they get tax benefits basically and avoid places where they will be heavily taxed. That's just how it works, and personally it benefits us. So that's one thing, and there are pros and cons to this. I'm conflicted because yes, it's beneficial to me, and also it does benefit the country because it will attract a lot of people to come and stay in the country. As you know, there are tax benefits or other benefits that attract these people, and you attract like quality, more like working professionals or business entrepreneurs. So that is good, and that helps boost the economy, create jobs, and locals get hired. But there's also downside where you see in places like Portugal, where they saw like a huge influx of digital nomads, entrepreneurs coming into places like Lisbon, which has become one of the biggest digital nomad hubs in Europe. But it increased the cost of living by a lot, to a point where locals have been like pushed out of the city because they cannot afford to live there anymore, or even like in other cities. So the cost of living is just like rising everywhere. And so that's not really beneficial to the locals and the people that live in the country. So I think um, the governments need to regulate this and try to balance out like the pros and cons of like what will happen if you attract a bunch of foreigners to the country. You have to give them some perks, but also make sure it doesn't like negatively affect the lives of the locals that work there and live there. And also I've seen this in Bali too, where I am right now. Like so many people are coming here, prices are getting ridiculous, also for locals too. Like well, a lot of locals will have like their family home, but for other, I guess, Indonesians who want to come to the island, it's also very expensive for them and they can't really afford to come here. So it's just like there's pros and cons to everything. Yeah, that's kind of like my opinion on the DN visa.
Yeah, I think, like you said, a DN visa does have its pros and cons, and it's all about where you're traveling to and what factors actually play into the whole DN visa and the facilities that are offered. So, just further discussing into this, Ismail, from a business and economic perspective, what benefits do you think that a country like Sri Lanka will have when we are launching a DN visa?
Okay, so let me try to get also from Sachindra and Selena. So, we are talking about the digital nomad visa and the digital nomads. So previously, like for example, Selena, she was saying like when she's in Bali, sometimes there is no good infrastructure in some certain parts. So, like sometimes when some place is too successful, like maybe it's not that good for that place because you overflow it with digital nomads. And for example, what it happens in that place is like they cannot give them what they need. So then those digital nomads, they will say like, this place is not good. So then they will leave and they will, I think why Sri Lanka it has been very good for like, it has improved like in the digital nomad ranking, it has been for two things. One is the internet, it has been improved in the last few years, like with all this fiber. And second one, not that many digital nomads came. So the ones that they have been here, they have been treated so well. So then they're like kind of spoiled, let's say, like Sri Lanka hospitality also is very, it's very good. So then people feel that nice. But if the country just open up and then just bring, like, it's like, okay, we need more money. We just need to bring thousands and thousands of digital nomads. Maybe that it won't be good if that is not, how to say, direction in the right way, or it's not digested or something. It's like a plant. If you put a little bit water, it's nice. If you put too much water, maybe you can kill the plant. So I think it can bring a lot of benefits. And also, like many of these digital nomads, as we said before, they can transfer knowledge. But if you bring so many and then you don't know what to do, they will bring their knowledge and then they will bring it back. So I will say need to do it a bit more gradually, if possible. In my opinion, as from business, I try to see more like the sustainability of it in the long term rather than getting like a few tourists for next year or next 2 years, something. So it's better to do it more gradually and bringing it, like slowly, and try to do more of these events that match with the locals, like try to create a more better ecosystem for people. Like one thing that Selena says that is very important that almost no countries are doing because of the regulations is difficult is about the taxation. The digital nomads, mostly in Europe or America, they pay very high taxes. They pay 40% tax, 30, 40, even 50. So then they will be happy just to go to one place, stay living 6 months and one day in that place, because they are legally residents there, and pay their taxes there. Why they don't do it in Sri Lanka is because, the only ones that they do it is the ones that they want to set up some business here. They fall in love with the country and then they do it. But if not, they won't do all this. If there is any simple infrastructure for you to register a company, like in Estonia, like you can register a company online, bank account and so on, and then there is like some tax benefits. Basically, the people will come here, they will spend their money as a tourist, and also they will be happy to pay whatever part, percentage of what they earn just to the country just for being here. So, like, I know that involve like too many like ministries and politics and so on. But maybe I don't know. Maybe now we have like even like port city. I don't know how it will be like if it's more like offshore, like Hong Kong or Singapore. Many people just go to Hong Kong and open a company there because it's easier. So some people might be able to come here, open a company, pay few taxes, and also enjoy the island and stay more time. And then they will be hiring locals, but not waiters or people to clean their houses. They will be hiring people to do their applications or to develop their blockchain or software development or all kind of digital jobs. yeah, so basically it's that, like, do it progressively and make it clear for people to be able to register the companies, do this taxation. That's my recommendation as a business. And then collaborate with businesses like colleagues like us. I mean, there is some others also. So try to collaborate more with them and maybe try to bring a little bit some events, like local events, because most of the businesses in the south or in the coastal areas, let's say, like they are not how to say, they are mostly targeting foreigners, and then they don't mix much with the locals. And because of my situation, I live more than here, my couple and so on, we are more involved with the local community. So if there is more of that, I think it will be good for the long term and good for the development of Sri Lanka.
Yes, thank you, Ismail. I think that's a very important point as Sri Lankans, I think rather than, implementing a plan that, just brings up revenue just for a short term, we need to look into a more sustainable plan where everyone in the country are going to get benefited, not just by getting income, but rather than just, like you mentioned, if you bring too many people in, that's going to be a hard thing. If you don't have enough people, that's also going to be a hard thing. So you need to be able to water that plant, like you mentioned, with the right amount of water. So keeping that in mind, Ismail, I think Sri Lanka as a country itself, we do have all the infrastructure and we are developing progressively. And I think all the initiatives that are being taken right now, we need to focus more on that aspect. And in relation to that, I think additionally, Sri Lanka does offer not just business and ecosystem needs, but in terms of culture and adventure, Sri Lanka offers a lot to digital nomads. So Sachindra, because you are very incorporated with the ecosystem here and the community initiatives, can you let me know what kind of benefits do digital nomads get in terms of culture and adventure in Sri Lanka?
So from the experience of some of the nomad, especially the digital nomad ambassador, who got the opportunity to engage with different cultures in the country because of the 12-week program that he was able to go through. What I've gathered from that is that in terms of his feedback of the cultural differences, I would say the cultural beauty of being in the south, being in the east, and the central province and the northern province, and how different and beautiful these differences are, is the feedback that he was giving, and he's saying that on his YouTube video, which I think is available on our YouTube platform of ICT as well. So I'm bringing in some points from what he's saying. And of course, being a tourist destination, to a certain level, the adventure tourism is picking up in certain areas of the country. Of course, the naturally available adventurous in terms of surfing is already there. But in terms of different types of planned hikes and for mountaineering, for abseiling, and trekking, and especially some of the flying foxes and the various different types of things which are coming in, and artificially made rock climbing experiences are now being set up in different parts of the country. I think that's picking up with certain investments coming in. So when there was this exercise or these plans of having tech parks in different parts of the country, 5 tech parks being set up, but it is on a hold right now because of the financial situation. The entire idea behind it was it to be thematic. So a tech park in Kandy, that's central province, it's a hilly area, just for saying it in a row, was with a golf course in a certain area, with a garden, which is the Peradiniya Gardens and Hagala Gardens, different places. It's overseeing certain lakes, and the climate is really good. It's in a mountain country. So that was one theme around it. and another in south would be a theme around the UNESCO heritage site that we have in Gaul, the sea, the sun, the sand, and so that the wellness which goes around it. So it's another thematic area. If you go to the north, it's more culture. North and north central, very cultural area. So these thematic areas around the country was would be a way of attracting digital nomads who would like to explore, maybe or rotate around the country, going through the different themes. So a digital nomad plan program, or I would say a secretary, not I wouldn't say a secretariat, but a initiative which the digital nomads could get uh, for the fee that you're paying, that they could get a service from a central call center kind of a setup where they could get individual service in terms of guidance, especially in terms of what Serena was saying, situations which is SOS and everything else, could give a planned itinerary for a digital nomad around the country. So I think this is where we would head, and as Ismail was saying, not in a accelerated approach, but a step-by-step approach where we would target so that we would not go through the issues that Lisbon is facing. Since we are now late in the game, even though we discussed this in 2021, even though now we are late in the game, we will learn from our predecessors and then do it right in a more sustainable manner.
Yeah, I think Sachindra, what you said is like perfectly correct in terms of Sri Lanka, because even though we are late in terms of the whole landscape, but we are building step by step. We are making and changing certain initiatives that are going to assist digital nomads in the future, in the long run, right? And I think in all throughout our discussion, we have identified how not just the IT and internet connection is the right factor, but we do have other factors that are going to play a huge role in deciding if digital nomads are going to enjoy their lifestyle. And in terms of Sri Lanka, like all three of you all mentioned, I think the whole aspect of the nature and where you can just hike or just go see the beaches and enjoy a sunset, or even just in regards to meeting the local people and getting to know their lifestyle, is a huge factor that is going to become, I think, something that all the digital nomads who will come to Sri Lanka are going to enjoy. And I think before we wrap up this panel discussion, we as NomadBuddy, we do want to thank all three of our panelists here today, and we do want to extend our gratitude towards Sachindra and his team for taking all the initiatives that they have already been doing, because I think that's a huge factor that is going to help in Sri Lanka becoming a digital nomad landscape. And Ismail, for your initiatives in regards to co-living and co-working spaces, because the design, the infrastructure that you are going to incorporate into the co-living spaces are going to matter a lot, because they need to feel at home, because this is not, they're coming out of their basic home to another country. And I think co-living spaces will ensure that they do have that connection, that they have that bond within the community itself. And I think Co-Live Me is taking that initiative and bringing up a lot of things that are going to help digital nomads in Sri Lanka. And Selena, I know that you have still not come to Sri Lanka, but all the factors and all the points that you have mentioned during this whole panel discussion is going to be a major deciding point for all of us, because like you said, you had mentioned so many things that we need to look into as a nation, because from internet facilities, from the community aspect, from safety for women, digital nomads, everything matters, every little thing matters. And I think all of the initiatives that all three of you all have been taking is going to play a major role in the future as well. And we do thank you as NomadBuddy that you all are setting up the stage and the foundation for us to come and get the networking and the community going on in Sri Lanka. So with that, we will come into end of the session, and I'm inspired by all the wealth of insights and discussion points that were shared by the esteemed panelists, and the vibrant tapestry of the possibilities that that Sri Lanka waits in this global stage. Today we have explored the nexus of tradition and innovation, witnessing the convergence of cultural richness and technological powers in Sri Lanka. The stories that were shared by our panelists, including a spirited conversation on opportunities and the challenges, leave us with a profound sense of optimism for Sri Lanka's future as a digital nomad haven. As we conclude this event, I extend again my heartfelt gratitude to our insightful panelists, Sachindra, Selena, and Ismail, our engaged audience, and to Sri Lanka for being at the forefront of this exciting journey. Let us carry the spirit of innovation, collaboration, and adventure forward as we continue to shape the narrative of the global digital landscape. I know that we have neared to our 1 hour panel discussion, which is why I regret to inform that we are unable to take any questions from the audience. But do reach out to any of our panelists through their social media accounts, through their LinkedIn accounts, where you will be able to get more information and clear your doubts as well. Thank you. And here is to the future, a future where Sri Lanka stands tall as a beacon for digital nomads, seeking not just a destination, but a transformative experience. Safe travels to all, and until we meet again on the next horizon of exploration. Thank you.